Welcome back to Big Riff Energy. This is Lucky 13. I am standing up. Why am I standing up? Because I have a bulging L5S1 disc in my spine. Don't recommend it. I've been dealing with this for, a few years now. The good news is it's almost always brought on by me doing something stupid. So I think this latest injury that I sustained is the wake-up call I needed to stop doing stupid shit with my back. I feel okay today, but I'm apparently sitting is like the worst thing you can do for it. So I'm going to stand up. It's going to be a short-ish episode. We've got a tour starting in a week and a half or so with Midnight and Spider. We have added a date to that. May 12th, we're coming to Rubber Gloves in Denton, Texas. I'm really excited to play Denton. It's been a long time coming. I was just talking to my buddy Chris Wetzel not that long ago about playing Denton because Spirit Adrift never has. And all the coolest Dallas people go to shows in Denton and put on shows in Denton. It's a Parade of Flesh show. Been wanting to do a show with that promoter for a long time. So it's cool. I'm excited. When we announced it, my phone blew up, man. Even people that don't live here anymore, like Zach from Chemist hit me up. He's originally a Texas guy, and he was like, man, I saw so many good shows there. All kinds of people were hitting me up. Super psyched. It's about time we played Denton. So yeah, May 12th, get your tickets at spiritadrift.com/tour. Yeah, I'm just been watching a lot of YouTube videos about how to rehab your L5S1. I guess it's the disc that goes out the most commonly because it bears more weight. I could bore you for hours with my newfound medical knowledge regarding the L5S1 disc. But I'm just, past 2 weeks, I've been trying to get myself right for this tour. Not concerned at all about going on the tour. As I mentioned in a previous episode, I did the first Spirit Adrift tour with a completely shattered bone, or cracked in half bone in my foot. I gotta say that, like I said, I've been dealing with this back shit for a few years now, and I've had some pretty bad experiences with it. But this latest one, I guess the disc between your vertebrae pokes out and it just sticks to the nerve, the sciatic nerve. And I've felt varying degrees of that before. This one has been like a major wake up call. It's no joke. It's like when your foot falls asleep, but it's like my whole lower torso. Pretty awful and debilitating. But yeah, I went on a little trip last week, which was originally just sort of supposed to be like a get off the grid rest for my brain. It ended up sort of being more of like a physical therapy thing, just trying to get myself right for this tour. And speaking of the tour, I'm modeling some new merch here. This is a design that we've had for a minute, Misanthropic Designs, but we did some new colors, really popping. I want to show off my friend Daniel, the Pit Forge, buddy of mine from Mexico, who has done quite a few designs for us. He did this insane it's like somewhere between like Mexican festival bootleg and an Iron Maiden parking lot bootleg. Amazing. So we're gonna have some new merch designs on this Midnight tour. Got all that squared away, ready to go. I'll be doing merch, so come say hey. I'm sure I'll be standing up the whole time, so come keep me company. So I went on back to what I was saying. I went on this trip last week and just trying to get my shit straight for this tour, and met a dude older guy, Texas type dude, nice guy, and we got to talking, and yeah, just having a good conversation about life and stuff. And I talked to him about my back, and right at the end of the conversation, he was like, "This is going to be kind of weird," and I thought, "Oh my God, what's about to happen? This is not what I signed up for." But he asked if he could pray over my back. And there was a time, really most of my life, where I would have called this guy all kinds of names that you're probably not even supposed to say anymore. But yeah, I said, yeah, man, of course. And I told him, it just came out. It comes out sometimes. I said, I'm a God guy, man. And it's weird for me to hear myself say that. It's still, when it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, what the fuck? How did that happen? I used to mock those kind of people and just hate those kind of people and ridicule those kind of people. All come to find out because of issues with me. Doesn't have anything to do with anybody else, you know. But this guy asked if he could pray over my back. I said, yeah. And he prayed over my back, and it was awesome. He said all kinds of cool stuff that I was totally into. And, you know, wished me luck on the tour and stuff like that. And then my back got so much worse. It got like 100,000 times worse. I mean, like some of the most unpleasant sensations I've ever felt were the next 3 days after this guy prayed over my spine. But it's better now, man. And I don't know, it just got me thinking about the whole God thing. And I had some very good reasons for most of my life, and I could still use them as great reasons to be like vehemently against the idea of any sort of God or higher guiding force of the universe or any of that stuff. And, you know, I've heard some guys I look up to say, like, if there was a God, he was a fucking asshole, and I couldn't wait to go up there and kick his ass. And I've heard dudes in recovery talking about, like, I tried to die and I couldn't die, and it's because God was a pussy and he was scared. He was scared to run into me. And man, I relate to that so much. I used to, when I was in high school, get hammered and go out in lightning storms and just like curse at the sky and dare this motherfucker to hit me with a bolt of lightning and all that. I can't imagine how obnoxious that must have been to the people around me that were trying to have a good time. But I don't know. I've come to a place where, you know, I've said it before. I think the more I've opened up to any kind of like spiritual concept for myself personally, if anything, it's made me even more opposed to the concept of like organized religions and major religions and rules and books and, you know, arbitrary framework of like religious or spiritual beliefs and that sort of thing. So I wouldn't say I'm a religious person. There's not a single religion. You know, even the Dalai Lama the other day was like sucking on some kid's tongue. What the fuck? It's like these religious leaders can't help but do like the weirdest, creepiest shit in the world. But I have reached a place in life where I've realized that nothing good happened for me the way I was before, full of anger and like self-righteous. How could you believe in that stuff? How stupid could you be? There's no evidence of any of that, which is true. There's no scientific evidence of any kind of higher power in the universe. But my perspective on it has changed so much. At one point, there was no scientific evidence of an atom. At one point, there was no scientific evidence that the Earth revolves around the sun. At one point, there was no scientific evidence of these galaxies that they found just the other day that sort of upend the scientific understanding of how the universe started. So science is not infallible. You know, it's limited by the intellectual capacity of humans. And even the smartest humans are fucking dumb. Dumb. We are dumb. We're like 1% genetically different from monkeys. And the smartest among us do stuff like inventing nuclear bombs. That's pretty fucking dumb. You can say that scientists are really smart, but inventing the nuclear bomb was like maybe the dumbest shit that anybody's ever done. So the only point I'm making here is that I used to be full of resentment about the whole topic and didn't want to believe in a higher power in the universe or any sort of rhyme or reason of the universe. I still don't really believe in any kind of like biblical human-like God figure. I don't, that's pretty unlikely. But all those years, like, yeah, full of righteous indignation towards that whole thing, did it bring me any joy? Did it make my life better? Did it make day-to-day living more tolerable for me? I can't say that it did. And I've since become a lot more open to stuff like what I experienced the other day, this guy praying over my back. Like I said, my old reaction would have been to ridicule this guy and think about how much smarter and more in touch with reality I am than some fool who would pray to some invisible force to try to heal my back. I have found that by being open to that sort of stuff and being open just simply toward the idea that I am not the most powerful force in the universe and I don't know what I'm doing. And when I try to exert my will over every situation in my life, more often than not, I fuck it up. So opening myself to the possibility that even if it's just this concept of my higher power being the natural course of the universe, the natural unfolding of cosmic and molecular events, that's enough for me to surrender what I want and what I think is right and just let things happen. And that's probably been the most powerful transformative change. That's kind of redundant what I just said. That's been the most powerful transformation that I've gone through in my life is, yeah, I'm not some Bible thumper. I don't believe in Allah or Yahweh or any of that shit. I don't need somebody else to tell me anything about it. It's a very personal thing. But just opening myself up to the idea that, man, if this guy wants to pray to a God that he believes in with all of his heart to try to affect some sort of positive change in my life, it's not going to hurt me, you know? And it's comforting just for another person to care enough to do that. I didn't think I would ever talk about this publicly, but whatever. It's a cool subject, man. And as I've changed and gotten more life experience, you know, my feelings about that whole thing continue to change and transform. But I can say that I'm a lot happier now, just kind of having faith, if nothing else, just that things are going to work out. What's going to happen is going to happen. And you can You can learn to love what you get, or you can bitch and moan and resist what you get, but what you get is what you get, and that's it. That's it. So I've found that it's a lot easier just to have faith that on a long enough timeline, things will work out in the end. And if they haven't worked out, then it's not the end. And either way, we're all going to fucking die someday. So you can be miserable from now until you die, or you can, I don't know, just kind of let go and have faith that even if you're going through something hard, there might be a reason for it in the long term, you know? So that's sort of all a serious look at all of that sort of thing. What that got me thinking is a less serious subject that I love to talk about as a troll, really, more than anything else, because it just sort of infuriates predictable, you know, entry-level type metal people. Who's got more riffs, Jesus or the devil? And the answer may surprise you. So the way that I've thought about this and made myself laugh in my own head many times, the people writing these riffs have to really believe in Jesus or God. We'll go with the Trinity, and that opens it up a little bit more. On the flip side, the people writing riffs for the other team, they have to really, truly believe in the devil. And that kind of changes the playing field, because you can talk about Morbid Angel and, you know, but they also write riffs and songs towards like imaginary Lovecraftian type stuff. So they're kind of out. You can talk about Slayer. That's the most obvious choice, right? But Tom's a Catholic. I don't know if he's a practicing Catholic, but I know he's raised Catholic. Jeff, from what I understand, didn't really give a shit. Didn't really believe in the devil or God or care, or, you know, was not that concerned with it. I don't want to disparage anybody, but the guy in that band that seems very confused about most things, really only wrote like 2 or 3 good riffs in 35 years. So Slayer's out. I hate to say, man, if you look at all the best Slayer riffs, they're all Jeff Hanneman. And he was not a devil guy. He didn't believe or care about any of that shit. So Slayer's out. So who's left for Team Satan? Merciful Fate, right? I think it'd be a pretty giant stretch to say that any of those guys are like real practicing devil worshipers. We can keep them in the, like 50-50, I guess. One band that comes to mind for sure that I'll count 100%, Dissection. Yeah, that's probably the strongest entry that I can think of for Team Satan. I mean, the guy literally killed himself for the devil, right? He thought he was going to graduate into some higher cosmic order, which is about as fucking dumb and imaginary as like strapping a bomb on yourself for Allah or whatever. I mean, it's just dumb as fuck and makes no sense, but you have to give the guy props that he believed in all that bullshit. So Team Satan gets Dissection for sure. I didn't prepare for this, so I'm sure there's a lot more on Team Satan. Feel free to comment below. But again, you have to adhere to the criteria that these people writing these riffs have to actually believe what they're doing. So Team Jesus or Team Trinity, this is where people are going to really get triggered. Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath. Raised Catholic, wore the crosses, hated being called devil worshipers, hated being accosted by goofy ass cosplaying devil worshipers in hotel hallways, blew out their candles and sang them happy birthday. It's Tony and Ozzy both wrote about that in their books. Read the lyrics to After Forever. You know, read the lyrics to Black Sabbath. It's a warning against practicing the occult. It's a warning against devil worship. I'm putting Black Sabbath on Team Trinity. Obvious choice, Trouble. You know, they sort of bristled at the whole, I think Metal Blade pitched them as white metal, being the antithesis of the black metal movement that was emerging at the time. And I don't think they were really too thrilled about that. But it's pretty clear which team Trouble's on, Team Trinity. I think just between those two bands, competition's over right there, but I keep going. St. Vitus, Candlemass. What else? I got this record behind me, Wovenhand. Not necessarily like crazy riffs. There are some great riffs, but definitely heavy and scary. Way scarier than any cosplay, fake evil guy type music. Here's one, Crowbar. Don't try to debate me on that one either. Just saying. So, I mean, it's over. That's over. You got Black Sabbath, Trouble, and Crowbar. That's done. So, yeah, if you're feeling like this guy's a fucking idiot, then mission accomplished. And if whatever side you want to, like, I don't really care. I'm just like fucking around here because it's a funny thought that I have frequently lately. But whatever team you want to go to bat for, put your comments below. And yeah, it's just a fun thing to think about. Oh yeah, send me questions, concerns, and the like to BIGRIFFENERGY@gmail.com. I got a couple fan emails. Some of them were not really questions, just nice stuff and like suggestions of bands to check out, and I appreciate it. Eli asked about artwork for the new album because every Spirit Adrift album has had our female protagonist on the cover, whereas the new album artwork doesn't have a humanoid type figure on it. So he was asking if that female Spirit Adrift protagonist was going to appear in the artwork. Yes, the physical releases of the new album have a lot of artwork, and yeah, she's in there. What else? Somebody asked me in the comments section. Again, please email me because I don't see all this stuff all the time. Favorite Yob songs. I'm going to go with Marrow from Clearing the Path to Ascend, which is my favorite Yob album. Mike told me that was like the hardest one for him to make. I don't know if he would say it's his least favorite, but definitely challenging to make. But yeah, Marrow from Clearing the Path to Ascend. Adrift in the Ocean, which is partially how I got the band name. And Burning the Altar. What's cool is they were playing Adrift in the Ocean and Burning the Altar when we toured with them. Amazing. Yeah, those are my top three. There's a lot more that I like, but Marrow, Adrift in the Ocean, Burning the Altar. What the hell else was I going to talk about? Man. Oh, okay. Wovenhand. Yeah. Crazy record. My Arkansas boys told me about this, and you want to talk about a guy that believes what he's saying. This is like fire and brimstone Christian stuff. And I like a lot of his albums. This is made by a guy, David Eugene Edwards. He was in 16 Horsepower. The first Wovenhand record is my favorite thing he ever did. It's magical, man. It's this is a guy, there's a short documentary, of course, about him on YouTube. From what I understand, and I hope I'm getting this right, his parents were Hell's Angel biker type people, but his grandfather was like a Pentecostal minister, fire and brimstone type of guy. So he was sort of torn between those two worlds. Meanwhile, he, like the best of us, used music as a way to sort of escape all that. Fell in love with Nick Cave and the Birthday Party and stuff like that. So Wovenhand, sort of his solo project, And all of that stuff is encapsulated in there. It's really unique. It doesn't sound like anything else out there. And it's scary because Slayer is talking about the devil and stuff like that, but 3/4 of those guys don't believe that. And the walking energy drink, I don't think he really believes anything. Dude's confused. But this guy, when he's telling you on this album that you're going to hell, and that I think it's actually the second album where he says the world will bow and knees will be broken for those who don't know how. He believes it, and that's way scarier and way heavier. Most of these guys that are like putting on makeup and walking around with upside down crosses and fire and stuff, it's a cool aesthetic. I love it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm super duper into that. I also like horror movies, which are fake. It's fantasy. It's imaginary dress up stuff, And I've spent some time around like a few guys who, some of whom were supposed to be like the scary guys. Look out. And they're dorks. And like a couple of them, not even in an endearing way. They're just wimps. They're like, there's nothing scary or intimidating about them in real life or intense. And no, not everybody has to be that way. But, I feel like a lot of these guys, they put on all the makeup and the spikes and the fire and the devil and all this bullshit because they haven't really lived any kind of real like danger or violence or, probably never choked somebody out or hit somebody so hard they fell asleep or had their nose shattered, or whatever. Like, and again, I'm not saying that that's the right way to live, but I think guys like David Eugene Edwards from Wovenhand are 100 times scarier than some of these fake devil guys. Oh, Team Satan, Devil's Blood, that guy, he was about it. He was about it for sure. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention something I wanted to talk about earlier that I totally spaced on. The Jason Isbell documentary that HBO did. It's this music box thing. The DMX one is incredible too. Some of them I'm not that into, but the DMX one opens with them picking him up from prison, and as soon as they got him in the car, he's just like cooking. He's flying off the handle. What a guy. But the Jason Isbell one, man, super inspiring. It was very comforting to see that even somebody as loved and respected and successful and gifted as Jason Isbell struggles with all the same frustrating, demoralizing stuff that all of us creative types have to deal with. Very, very comforting. I recognize myself in that guy way too much. And again, there's a guy that believes what he's singing, and he may not be singing about a bunch of scary stuff, but you better believe when that guy was in his full-blown raging alcoholism, there was some scary stuff going on. So yeah, I guess that loosely ties into the whole topic. I love this record by Wovenhand. I started really obsessing with that band right when I moved to Arizona. So it's like, it's hard to listen to that stuff without thinking about my early Arizona days. And that was a big life transformation for me, meeting my wife and all that sort of stuff. But it's good stuff, man. It's scary. Like I said, I want to listen to music at this point in my life where the person believes what they're saying. And I love fantasy stuff too, if you want to call it that, whatever. I love devil music. I love it. I have not gone soft. If anything, I'm even more into like crazy shit than I've ever been. But yeah, I want to hear somebody singing about something they believe in. And I almost don't even care what it is, as long as they believe it. And David Eugene Edwards believes every word that he's singing on that Wovenhand record. Check it out if you like Nick Cave, weird folk music from different Eastern European countries, the Suspiria soundtrack, country, gothic stuff, and just scary, spooky, exciting music in general. Man, what a weird episode. I didn't have the intention of that being any of the stuff I was going to talk about, but there you go. All right. Send me stuff at bigriffenergy@gmail.com. And we'll see you on tour very, very soon. Thanks.